What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Davey Sports Podcast. This is episode 166, recording this late at night on Sunday, December 22nd, 2024. So most of you will probably listen to this on Monday, December 23rd. Matty is back with me. What's up, Matty? Because we have had a lot happen since you came on Thursday night.
Yeah, we have. What's up, Davey? What's up, everyone? Hopefully, everyone's having a good Sunday night, or most likely when you listen to this, a happy Monday morning.
Yeah, so as usual, we're gonna start off with the San Diego related topics here. We got a couple of them we want to get to. First one, we'll talk about Aztec basketball because it's in season. They got off to a brutal start against Cal in the neutral site game in San Jose. They were down 10-2 to start the game, but they ended up showing their talents and how much better they are than Cal by winning 71-50, and it wasn't really even that close. It got up to 29, and then we let our foot off the gas, and the walk-ons played the last couple of minutes. So yeah, I thought it was pretty impressive given the absolutely terrible travel situation with all the delayed and canceled flights because of the fog and, barely getting to the arena before the game. Very impressive to still win that game easily, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. So, yeah, absolutely not ideal. Having all the travel issues that happened Friday, and then absolutely heading to Saturday. Like, I was worried. Like, you have to be worried. Like, because it threw everything off, and I was apparent. The beginning of the game, but once the team got their legs under them, they took care of business as they should have, and that was impressive to see.
Yeah,
And they
absolutely. And
overcame everything.
yeah, s- so I was glad to see that. Nick Boyd was the star of the show. In the second half, he just lit it up, and the defense was smothering. That was one of the lowest shooting percentages I've ever seen a team have in a college basketball game. The defense was all over Cal.
Yeah, and what makes it more impressive is that Cal was averaging well over 80 a game. So like we before our walk-ons came in, we basically cut their points in half.
Yeah, that Stojakovic guy for them came in averaging 19 points a game. He shot 2 of 12 against us.
Yes. So like that shows you what we did against them, and yeah, overall great win. Yeah, first half was very ugly, but I mean the defense kept us in there, and then once our offense got clicking the second half, like you knew we were winning the game.
Yeah, I mean, 9 blocks, 13 steals. I mean, that's just crazy.
Like again, like the backcourt of this team is crazy good.
Yeah, and that's even without Waters, and he's not
Yeah,
healing as quick as we thought, so we might have to keep doing way without him. Personally, at this point for Reese, I hope he just takes the medical red shirt
I
and comes
think
back
so
next
too.
year. That's probably
Because
the best move at this point.
Because again, like BJ is playing well, Bird's playing well. Even McKinney's gotten to double figures yesterday, and obviously Boyd's playing well. So that's 34. And then Taj is getting minutes, and he's being productive, and he's getting better. So like that's already five quality guys from the backcourt. So like Reese, I think is an extra. So like at this point, I don't want to push him back. Like let him heal, and he'll be ready for next season.
Yeah, and I mean, you could end up needing him next year, with
Yeah.
especially because some people are saying that Bird might be an NBA draft prospect, and then there's always the
Mhm.
transfer portal, so you gotta, like, keep him
Yeah.
as an option for next year, in my
And plus,
opinion.
he's like a veteran guy, so like
Yeah.
with experience, and you know how much Dutcher values those people and those type of players.
Yeah, absolutely. We should be looking at moving up a few spots in the rankings because
Yes,
number 21 Memphis and number 22 Dayton both lost a game this week. The
even like
rankings
a
might.
UNC lost.
Yeah,
I mean, no, UCLA lost and they were 18.
yeah. Again, the rankings might already be out by the time you guys end
Yeah,
up listening to this, but I'm
but we should be at least, I would say, in the 20 to 21 range.
yeah, we should probably be at least 21.
Yeah,
Probably gonna be harder to move up further than that because
probably.
Michigan State won both games this week. They're 20. Cincinnati won at Dayton as
That was
part
a
of it.
ranked matchup. Yeah,
As part of a 2-win week, and they're 19. So I don't see us moving up
no,
that far, but we should move up to 21 probably, I think.
which is good. And again, we ended non-conference 8-2, and I think everyone in the world would have taken that.
Yeah, absolutely. Also we went up significantly in the metrics because we won by a lot, which was good to see because that the end of the Baptist game actually kind of hurt our rankings. So
Mm-hmm.
or not our rankings, our metrics, but yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, like yesterday we went up six in Ken Palm, 11 in net, and our defense jumped up 11 spots alone based on that performance. So that shows you how dominant we were defensively.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this right now. Utah State, who we play on Saturday as we jump back into Mountain West play, they're 45th in Ken Palm, and they are looking at the net here. They are 37th in the net, so that's a an opponent where if you beat them, it helps you pretty much by any margin. So
Yeah,
so get
and
that win on.
obviously, like they're our biggest threat in conference. They just won at St. Mary's today,
Yeah, so that's
pretty handily actually. Like they
yeah,
were
so
up the whole game.
so you know the crowd's gonna be fired up at Viejas for that one. It's gonna be packed. I'll be there. I believe you'll be there too, right?
Yeah, I just have to buy my ticket, but yeah, like I want to be there.
Yeah. And I believe Utah State seems like they've struggled at Viejas for as much as they've had success in recent years.
I can't remember. They haven't won a game here since they became part of the Mountain West. I believe they haven't won here since like 1998
Yeah,
or
so
something like
like
that.
they've struggled at Viejas. Hopefully we can keep their struggles at Viejas going on Saturday.
And plus, like, yeah, they won in Moraga, but after that, after they play us, they have to go to Reno. So like, that's a tough 3 game road trip they have there.
Yeah, that's not gonna be easy for them at
And
all by any
and I don't
means.
think Utah State has played as good as a team as us in their schedule
No.
yet.
We played a tough non-conference.
So I think we'll be way more prepared. And again, it's at home. And yeah, this is arguably our biggest home game of the year, like right off the bat, right after Christmas. First home conference game against Utah State, who arguably right now, if you're telling me who has a chance to be an at large, it would be them. And then outside chance Boise, and then everyone else has to win conference tournament, in my opinion. That's how bad the conference is.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So it's a big one Saturday at Viejas. I'm
And
looking
we should do
forward to
well in
it.
these games.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. It's gonna be a great atmosphere at Viejas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'll be.
I think again the bottom line on how far this team will go will be a front court production offensively. That will tell us because I fully trust our backcourt. I fully
Yeah.
trust it.
Um, so let's show why we think we're gonna be boss in the Mountain West on Saturday night.
Yeah.
That's what I got as far as Aztec basketball goes.
Yep.
For the Padres, we now know who's running the team.
Oh
In
yeah.
the long run.
Uh, Peter's brother.
Yeah, it's John Seidler, right?
I think it's Tom Side. I think Tom is his name.
Yeah, AC said it was John,
It's
Seidler.
Tom. Tom.
Yeah, I know. He has another brother named Tom, though. That's why it's confusing. But yeah, it's John Seidler.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's John.
Okay.
So I know he has a brother named Tom too, though. That's why it's confusing. But
Okay, but John's but the bottom line is that it's John. I'm just looking at tweets confirming it. So you're right there. So the bottom line is that obviously this just debunks every myth saying, "Oh, they're going to sell. It's not going to stay in the family." No, it's staying in the family and they plan to keep it for as long as they can. The team as that is.
yeah, and you know what I just find funny about this whole thing is that in the article talking about it, it talked about being like you know, uh, building the same thing about like building a with a more reasonable payroll, building a consistent team that consistently wins. It's so funny how you see people say like, "Oh, well, that makes sense now. It's middle of the road, consistent. Like that should be enough. Like if we are smart to like win or like good, we already have bad contracts now. Just build around that on cheaper options." So funny how the narrative shifts just because the guy in charge's last name is Seidler. Kind of funny how that narrative shifts, don't you think?
Yup. And there's some there were some things in the article that of course people took way out of proportion. Gotta tell you how
Always.
stupid Twitter is. So I think the one thing that bothered me that I showed you was the one thing saying that The transition is supposed to be us or the team operating in a more sustainable way, and people are taking that the wrong way. Like people are trying to think, oh, we're gonna be the Rays or the Pirates, which is not gonna be the case.
Well, the Rays would be good if you had a well, actually, I'm glad you mentioned the Rays because like
Yeah.
the problem with the Rays is like they're smart, like and they do things that are like, why would you do that? That makes you worse. Like are they pushing, things down the road and kind of punting this year? And then they're always, I know this past season they were only a 500 team, but usually they're in the mix for a playoff spot. Sometimes they even win the AL East on occasion. Like, the only problem with the Rays is, like, they don't, spend any money at all, so, what the Padres are probably gonna be doing for going forward is, like, be like the Rays if the Rays locked in, a very high ceiling, somewhat expensive core.
Yeah, it's just like the Rays, but this you're spending a bit more. Basically, what the Padres are doing is someone said, I think it was Serge, is like be around the 11 to 20 range in payroll, and that's completely fine. Being us the small market team we are, that's completely fine.
Yeah, I mean, because you do that, then you're basically shooting to win 85, 90 games every year, you'll be in the a borderline wild card on the low end or, like, a definite wild card on the high end, and one of our friends in the chat said, "So we're like, that's the worst spot to be in. We're basically like the Indiana Pacers," which, what he means by that is like the Pacers are like, at best, Pacers like a 5 or 6 seed or like in the play-in, but like the thing is like those teams in the NBA rarely, if ever, go on championship runs. In baseball, it's quite different. Like if you're that kind of seed in baseball, it's much easier for you to go on that kind of postseason run than it is in the NBA, which is one of the many problems with the NBA right now. It's just that like
Oh, that's
it's
another
the only
topic.
sport where like the lower seeds don't really have a chance to go on a deep run.
That's another topic for another day with with what's going on in that sport, which is sad
Yeah. It's
because
gone to
it's
the
much
point
more of
where
a good
like
sport.
it's just gotten to the point where it's like, I want more professional sports teams here in San Diego, but, like, the NBA team is, like, the one I can do without, so the league I
Probably
can do
because like
without,
yeah,
so
there's a lot of reasons why like that league is going sideways and it sucks. But
yes.
yeah, I feel like again it's a good thing that it's staying in the family, and yes, there's they want to win a title. They absolutely want to win a title.
Yeah, and I didn't hate on Kutsenda like other
I
people
didn't
did,
either.
but it did somewhat annoy me that he didn't, go in front of cameras and say, "Look, guys, what we did the last X couple years put us in this spot. So for these next couple years, we got to try and get it back, and then we'll push spending up towards closer, but not all the way to 21, 23 after this stretch." He never even went in front, said anything like that to the media. That's the only thing that really bothers me with him. I'm hopeful that John Seidler will be a little more transparent and not, you know, be camera shy.
Yeah,
Because quite honestly, just like it seemed like Kutsenda just didn't like talking to the public. Seemed like he is, I don't know, doesn't like the spotlight at all.
and yeah, so at least we have clarity there.
Yeah, and it's very possible that maybe they weren't making moves because they were waiting to see who was in charge. Like maybe that was slowing some things up. I don't know.
But again, like at least we know what's going on.
Yeah. The only MLB thing I'll really note is that um I think actually Arizona got worse at first base. A lot of people are acting like it's a
Yes.
lateral move going from Walker, who signed with Houston as a free agent, to trading for Naylor, but I almost think it's a lateral move or even a slight downgrade for Arizona as much as Padre Twitter loves Naylor.
And Naylor is this is his contract year, I believe. He's gonna be free agent after next year.
Yeah,
So
I
this
mean,
could very
so
very
Arizona
well
will be
be a
in the same
rental.
spot again next
Yeah.
winter.
So this could very well be a rental, and I don't know. I don't we'll see what happens because
Like,
like
yes, Naylor had more home runs and RBI than Walker. I get that, but OPS, I believe Walker was better. Walker's
Naylor's
a Gold
average
Glove.
dropped with the hits
Walker's a
versus
Gold Glove
power.
defensive first baseman. Naylor is not.
No,
And
no,
you have
that's
to
what.
remember, like, about the home run RBI totals. Walker missed time with that oblique injury
Yeah,
late in the summer, and Naylor, the renovations they did at Progressive Field in Cleveland, changed the wind tunnel I heard in right field, which made it easier to hit home runs to right field there. So Naylor is a left-handed hitter,
and
benefits
again, the
from that.
NL West again as a whole is a way tougher division than the AL Central.
Right, and, as far as Naylor's RBI total, I believe it was, like, 104, is that right?
Sounds about right.
I mean, you gotta remember, like, no shortage of opportunities there with hitting behind Steven Kwan and Jose Ramirez.
Yeah, so this will be an adjustment period.
Yeah, and Chase Field does not play as hitter friendly as it used to since they put a humidor in there, so,
Yeah, so I highly doubt Naylor's numbers will be the same.
yeah, I mean, will he hit probably 25, 30 homers? Yeah, but I don't know, I don't think he's better than Christian Walker per se.
I'll take Walker in a heartbeat
Yeah, so I think this is a lateral move at best for the Diamondbacks.
at
The
best.
the only other MLB thing I will say is that, the Miami Marlins are just a total joke, like, trading Luzardo for that little to a division rival, like, you guys just are not serious at all. I mean, I saw something that, like, 4 of their 5 top home run hitters from last year have been traded already, like, or
Yeah,
not on the team anymore. It's just so bad. It's like I can understand, like, if you need to rebuild, like, because like, you have, like, 3 good players and the rest of the team's awful and you have no farm system or your team's getting up there in age, but it doesn't seem like Miami ever has a plan of what to do.
nope.
And I mean, the Marlins just disgust me too because they have no plan. It seems like anytime anybody gets any good, they're like, "Oh, well, the team's not good now, so we're just gonna trade this guy." So, are you gonna do that every year? Like, and think about it this way too. The Marlins, under the previous ownership with, Loria, robbed Miami-Dade County blind in that stadium deal, and they have never given a good team in return since then.
They haven't even made the playoffs.
Well, they did make the playoffs in
Oh, well, yeah, they did, but, like, they
it
didn't do
but it
anything.
was a fluke, and they were quickly bounced, so
Right, and then the other one was in 2020,
yeah,
so
and you're lying to yourself, you think that they would've made it if the season was
and again,
162 games
2023,
again.
we talked about that Marlins team, like, they were insanely lucky, and then look what happened last year.
Yeah, we're gonna bring up this, that '23 Marlins team, later, and I'll last thing I'll say about baseball and Padres offseason is that I'm not one of these guys that is like, why didn't the Padres do that on every move?" But I would have liked to get Nathaniel Lowe if
Yeah,
Texas gave him
mhm.
up just for that, so all I'm saying is, y'all better have a plan for, like, first base/DH if you weren't gonna get Nathaniel Lowe for that little, like, and I'm not usually the guy that complains every time the Padres don't sign a free agent or trade for a guy, but
Again, like, Padre Twitter wants every move to happen now, and Padre Twitter is only thinking about 2025 and
yeah, and that's
every
the
year
last
beyond that.
this is the last thing I'll say is that the Padre Twitter acts like we're the White Sox, yet Vegas had the, just earlier today, had the over-unders for 2025 right now, and we're tied for 6th at 89.5, like, do
Mhm.
you guys think you know more than Vegas? Or if you think you know more than Vegas, then run to Vegas right now and bet the under.
Yeah,
What's inter
and maybe that's a sign again, maybe we have some tricks up our sleeve that, again, we
or
haven't done yet.
and Vegas tends to know on some things,
Yes.
before, others do, because I remember and I said so that maybe Vegas knows something about Sasaki, I don't know, because, I'll always say this because I remember it was, like, in 2019 at, like, late January or early February, they had the Padres in, like, the mid-70s, for the over under, and this was coming off a 66 and 96 season in 2018.
Yep.
So I was wondering, like, does Vegas know something? Because of course this was with the rumors of Machado or Harper in free agency, and then
We got
we
Matty.
got one of them. So that's why I almost think that maybe Vegas knows something about Sasaki or somebody else that we don't.
Yeah, So that should be a positive sign
So
already.
that's just something to keep an eye on. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that for sure. It's just that Vegas does tend to know those things. And I remember again, Padre Twitter laughed when they had the old. But what was Vegas's over under for us last year? Was it 83.5 or 81.5?
83 and a half
And I
around that.
remember people laughed at that and said, "Oh, take the under for sure." And then,
Oh yeah. I feel
oh,
like whenever people say take the under on us, like as Padre Twitter, we usually overachieve.
yeah, when they say, "Oh, take the over," we're definitely gonna hit the number. We don't hit it.
Right. So I think that's a good sign
Yeah,
to
I mean,
take into consideration.
for sure. I don't. So before we move on from baseball, pass and bomb that Mania has re-signed with the Mets.
Oh, just now,
Yeah, 3 years, 75 million. Just got the noti from Passan.
just 40 seconds ago. So like this is literally 40 seconds ago.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. I think this is
Yep.
the first time I've gotten a notification live during a recording.
Yep. So just okay, I'll say this about Mania. Like first of all, F him because he didn't try here. And he literally said that was the reason why he worked hard again, was because he was lazy here. At our expense, F him for that. And I think number two, I don't think he's gonna have the same year again as he had last season.
No, and I'm really surprised that the Mets signed him to that instead of getting like Corbin Burns. I wonder if that's a sign that Corbin Burns is going to be going back to Baltimore or signing with the Red Sox or signing with San Francisco.
But like this is not good if Mania is the quote unquote ace.
Yeah, and that just brings more doubt to what the Mets are going to be the Mets even after signing Soto. Oh, speaking of Soto and his former team, I think that's kind of a sneaky ad for the Yankees with, Goldschmidt because he did
Yep.
better in the second half, and I saw a park factors thing where Busch Stadium was, like, one of the worst parks for hitters, in 2024, so I think Goldschmidt might have a little bit more left than we thought, and I think he might have a nice year for the Yankees in '25, so
Yep. So I agree. I think what the Yankees have done since losing suit they I think they've done a good job ever since losing Soto.
yeah, we've talked about their what their moves, like trading for Devin Williams and getting Bellinger in other podcasts, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I do like what the Yankees have done in response to losing
Because again, like
Soto.
the AL is still very weak. So like they could go back to the World Series next year at this rate.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the teams that I kinda like coming out of the AL at this moment would be either them, or I think Texas, re-signing Eovaldi, signing Higgy, and they're gonna get some bounce back from other guys. Houston might not quite be dead yet, getting Christian Walker, and I like Kansas City too. They got a leadoff type guy in Jonathan India. They got that good young pitching and Bobby Witt. So those are the 3, 4 teams that I think I would look at in the AL right
I
now.
think, but bottom line is it's wide open, and the
Yeah.
Yankees are part of it. So
All right, is that all we got on baseball?
I think we got everything there. Because again, yeah, there hasn't been a lot of moves yet, and there's still a good amount of good free agents left. So again, be patient on the Padre end. Like again, like it's pretty obvious. Like we're waiting for Sasaki. Like we're
Yeah.
waiting with him. So don't expect anything. I'll
All
just
right.
repeat that again.
So I got one more San Diego topic I want to get to. It was we talked about it in the last article a little bit. Last not article, sorry,
Podcast.
podcast a little bit. About a couple anniversaries coming up. And so I tweeted the clip of all those false starts,
Well,
and
yep.
penalties Cincinnati got. Um, 1.4K likes, and my follow count on my NFL TSD account has exploded. I'm at 600 followers now in there.
Deserved. And again, I think that just shows you the real people know what happened, what was going on here, and we absolutely had a fan base. And sorry, that's never going to be replicated again in that city.
No, and, like, these people are so incredibly dumb, it's, like, unbelievable, like, one guy told me, like, "Oh, you guys abandoned that team way before 15 and 16," and he shows me all these images, like, to prove it, and I was like, "Bro, those images are all from 15, 16." He's like, "No, they're not. Have you ever done reverse search?" So then I just replied to the guy, I'm like, "Well, that picture you showed was Steeler fans. The Steeler fan has a picture bragging about their 6 Lombardi trophies, and 2015 was the only game Pittsburgh the Steelers played here after they won their 6th Super Bowl. Tampa Bay didn't play here from '05 to '15, so that picture had to have been from the '16 game, and the picture of Dolphins fans surrounding Charger fans looked like it was at StubHub because it looked like it had green bleachers."
So it's like LA Dolts fans are the most idiotic people I know.
Oh,
And
they're so
and
dumb too, and
and
their
and
whole
add on to thank you for mentioning the 2015 Steelers game and the 2016 Bucks game. Again, that's when the team had one foot out the door.
Yeah, of course.
You want to show us pictures from 2010, 2009, 2008, 2007, 2006, 2005, 2004 that validate your argument? I dare you to.
Yeah, I mean, come on, like, don't be
And before the team had one foot out the door, the only teams that would have a good fan base here or a good showing were the teams that travel well. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about LA people being dumb too. I got a bunch of replies like, "Oh, well, Spanos tried to stay but couldn't make it work," or "You guys voted them out." Like, please, that guy was, you know, none of those. Oh, he tried for 15 years. Look at all these proposals that got voted down. Most of those proposals were like driving by the site and like finding out that you couldn't build a stadium there because the land was too small, or the ownership of the land was the problem, or the economy stunk at the time, or stuff like that,
If
basically.
Gene really wanted to stay, he would have put a serious offer.
Yeah, and there were no serious
But he
offers,
never
and
did. Even Measure C was a joke.
of course it was, and, someone tried to tell me, "Well, like, what about, like, Prop B in 2008?" Like, and then I first of all, I never heard of this before, and then I Googled it, and the language of it was so damn confusing. It was like, "Well, you could all allocate money for a hotel or an arena or this or that." It's like, how is anyone supposed to vote for that not knowing what they're voting for? Like, that's not and it wasn't, a Chargers back thing. Like, what are you guys even talking about?
Yeah.
Like, it's funny too, like, these guys, like, these Charger fans that live in, like, Texas are, like, trying to tell us what happened in San Diego. That's hilarious to me.
It is. So yeah, like dealing with these fans is like
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's
honestly, bro, there's only one answer to why they're like this and all defensive about it.
again, it's like they know if we get a new fan base here, they're gonna lose more than 50% of the fans they have right now. Like they
Yeah,
know deep down. They know deep down.
they fear it. That's why they get all defensive like this.
Right. If you're not so defensive of it, you should have a fan base by now.
Yeah, it's just so, like, seriously, like, weird behavior. Like,
Right.
I don't think anybody in Tennessee cried when Houston got the Texans. I don't think anybody
No.
in Indy cried when Baltimore got the Ravens. Like,
Yeah. Or people from yeah,
from Baltimore
will
didn't
cry
throw a
when
fit when Browns got reactivated.
yeah. No, because those guys know they
Uh,
don't need fan base.
honestly, I don't even think Rams fans would be all that upset if St. Louis got another team.
I don't think they care.
Like, LA Charger fans, like, the only ones that, like, try to, like, tell the city that lost the team they can't have another one. It's such odd behavior. Like, I think if you're looking at another sport, I think Washington Nationals fans would be thrilled for, Montreal if Expos happened again as, like, an expansion team.
Right.
It's
So
just so weird, like, it's
and
such
again and again, what they're doing is not helping their cause in trying to gain new fans or fans who used to root for the Chargers to root for them again and
yeah.
turn their back. Like they're making it that much more difficult.
I'll just say this too, is that I got a ton of my new followers and people who like that, post, were, like, Charger fans, so that almost makes me think that, like, if we were to get another team in the future, that a lot of people from here who are currently Charger fans are would switch to a expansion team.
I think that would happen too. Because again, it was like I get it. Like it's your choice. It's your choice if you stuck with them or not. Because like yeah, you like people have rooted for them for a long time. It's hard to detach. Fine, but if you get the San Diego team, you have every right to move to jump ship.
Yeah, I mean, because to me, it's like I feel like a lot of people from San Diego who are still Charger fans are like, "Oh, I hate Spanos. I hate that they moved, but I can't stop rooting for. I can't. I have to like. I can't give it up. So like, there's nobody else to root for.
Yeah,
So
you have no other options. That's the explanation.
yeah. So like, yeah, and I do think that it will happen someday. I mean, I've been adamant about that, and I think that
Hmm.
you have that many people, new followers, that post got that many interactions. I absolutely think that, the people are gonna step up and, you know, some guy who wants to own an NFL team that maybe got rejected in the bidding for one of these teams that was up for sale recently will be like, all right, maybe I should, invest in San Diego, and then you go from there.
Hmm.
And then as far as people are like, well, where are you gonna put the stadium? Remember, I'm not gonna go down the list of suburban stadiums. If you guys watch the NFL, you know which stadiums are in suburbs. I mean, just got done a couple hours ago watching Sunday Night Football in Arlington. So, yeah, I mean, so if it's south of Pendleton, east of Imperial County, and north of the Mexican border, that's good.
Yeah, and again, like
It's
they'll
not
put it
hard.
somewhere
It's
where,
it's
where there's a presence of people.
it's not hard, people, and like I've said before, like the fact that Measure C got even the percentage it did shows that if somebody else comes in here and actually embraces the people and targets the people that need to be targeted, in terms of selling the idea to them, that it could work. And there's like financing districts that you're seeing with like the stadiums in Vegas. I believe the Titans stadium in Nashville, it's going to be opening up soon in a few years. Yeah, so there's plenty of ways to get it done. Like we just got to find the right person.
Yep.
And I mean, I am not losing any hope at all.
Hmm.
So I think that's all we got on San Diego related topics for today. Anything else?
I think that's it for now regarding SD topics. We still have a lot to talk about because again, a lot happened this weekend in the world of sports.
Yeah, I think let's start with the college football playoff.
Yep, a lot to be talked about here.
Yeah, so first of all, I thought, that was a nice showing by Notre Dame.
Hmm.
I'll give them a chance against Georgia, given Georgia's questionable quarterback situation. And, Notre Dame, again, has just played phenomenal football since that Northern Illinois game.
Yeah, and you would think Notre Dame is due to win one of these big games. And again, like Marcus Freeman has done a better job than Brian Kelly. Notre Dame has gotten the better end of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Penn State, I mean, they played a team from Texas in the cold in Happy Valley, so that was a nice win for them. But also, it's a much different game if Jennings doesn't miss some of those throws early on. So I'm very curious to
Mhm.
see Penn State and Boise State. I think that's a game that could go either way.
Yeah, uh, Texas
I don't
did
know.
beat Clemson, but
I
I
wasn't that
wasn't
high. I
too
wasn't that high
convinced.
on Clemson this year,
Yeah,
so I
I
don't
wasn't
know.
too convinced with Texas because like
Yeah,
that was the most competitive game of the day, and
yeah.
that says a lot.
We'll see.
Of
Again,
the first round. I meant.
again, Texas and Arizona State is going to be very interesting. I think all these games are going to be very interesting in the quarterfinals. Got an Ohio State Oregon rematch, and
Yep, we were wrong on Tennessee.
the thing I'll just say, the only thing I can really say about Ohio State is this: is that those kids in that locker room there, for the Buckeyes, must really love Ryan Day, and they thought that we don't want him to get fired, so we're going to go all out and make sure we don't lose.
Yeah,
We'll see if that translates against Oregon, who I think is a much better team than Tennessee.
yeah, it's not a given. That's going to be a good game.
It's gonna be a
So
really good game.
again, I think it's just it's an injustice that you can make an argument Ohio State and Oregon are the two best teams left.
Yeah, of course. So
and
they
they're
shouldn't
playing
be
in the
playing each other
quarterfinals,
in the quarterfinal.
right? So hopefully, the committee like changes something because it's either reseeding or you put the best four seeds regardless if the conference champs is biased.
Yes.
Do something because the arguably the top half of the bracket is way harder than the bottom half.
Yeah, and I mean, because that should be an easy fix. Because like
Yeah.
in basketball in March Madness, the conference tournament winners don't get the top seeds automatically.
No.
So it
No.
should be the same idea with the college football playoff.
Right.
And the other thing I will say is that after Indiana and SMU didn't really stand much of a chance in their games, people were like, "See why we leave Alabama out? Alabama would have beat these teams." Yeah, Alabama
No.
lost to Vanderbilt and to 6-6 Oklahoma by 3 touchdowns. Please, like
Ah,
maybe Alabama was the better team on paper, but they didn't get it done on the field.
Alabama made their own bed. All
Yeah,
the other SEC teams made their own bed. You can
yeah,
even make the argument for Ole Miss. They
right.
lost to a Kentucky team that win Kentucky had against Ole Miss was the only win Kentucky had that was a Power Four team. That was it.
Yeah, and then
That's an
like, but
awful loss. And then they lost at Florida. Yeah, Florida played well down the stretch, but that's still not a great loss
no,
to have on your resume. So
it's
you
like if these
so like
teams
these
want to be in,
SEC teams did it on themselves.
yeah, absolutely. And it's just too. I'll say this too. It's like a great example of this is like we talked about how the 23 Miami Marlins were a fluke
Yep.
earlier. Um, I didn't sit here as when we talked about how they were a fluke and they got easily destroyed by the Phillies in 2 games in the wild card round.
Hmm.
And I didn't sit here as a Padre fan and say, "Man, we were so much better than the Marlins. We would put a better fight than that." I was like, "No,
Yeah,
we blew it by not winning
yeah.
enough games during the season. We
We made
blew
our
it."
own bed.
I
I
didn't cry that like we were so much better than the Marlins. We were more competitive than this. I was like, "No, we freaking blew it." And
We
during the
made our own
season,
bed. Yeah, all these other teams that that you wanted in from the SEC made their own bed. They did.
these
They did.
SEC homers are like so annoying, anyways. But the SEC wasn't even as good this year as usual. So
Tennessee proved it. Tennessee's loss didn't help. It absolutely did not help their cause, and they were the third best team, quote unquote, in that conference.
yeah, and if Georgia loses to Notre Dame, then what are you all gonna say?
Which is a possibility. It's a
And
huge possibility.
Texas is no gimme against Arizona State either.
Even though Texas is like a huge 2 touchdown favorite, like you
I
can't.
don't get why they are. I mean, what is
I think
Texas?
I don't think people are buying into ASU. I think that's the problem.
No, I mean, Texas's 2 best wins are A&M and Clemson, and
Clemson.
those are, like, teams that are ranked. Is A&M even ranked going into the bowl season?
I think they're like 24 or 25. Like
Yeah,
barely beat.
and what was Clemson, like, actually ranked going into the ACC championship game, like, 15th?
I think they're like lower than that actually.
So, yeah, I mean, they had 3 losses before the ACC championship game, so
Yeah, so I just hate how like people try to spin the narrative because all these teams lost. Like no, like you judged off the whole season. And I'm sorry, a 3-loss SEC team who had bad loss. Both Ole Miss and Bama had bad losses. You don't deserve it. Yeah, you can make the argument if the losses were against the top teams, but no, 2 of your losses, both Bama and Ole Miss, were against teams you should have beat.
yeah, I mean, you lose to Oklahoma and Kentucky, like, you don't belong, I'm
And
sorry.
Vandy, yeah, and none of
Like,
those teams were better than 6-6.
no. Alright, so let's get into the NFL real quick. I'll start with, Baltimore coming out they've been good coming out of the bye week. Maybe it's one of those teams with a late bye. Maybe they just needed to reset after, playing 13 straight weeks to start the year because they've nice win over the Steelers. 2 good games coming out of the bye for them.
Probably, but again, like we'll see what if the Ravens can stick to what they're good at in the playoffs. That's all that matters to me at this point. Like, yeah, like they have the talent and they can play well, but can they stick to what they do? Because that's what killed them last year, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, they've looked really good the last 2 weeks. We'll see what they can do. Um, mm, gonna go through the morning games and then the afternoon games. Things that stood out to me. What a comeback!
The
What a
Rams are in position to win that division now.
yeah. They basically just have to win next week because there is a scenario where they lose to the Seahawks week 18 and Seattle would take the West, but it would go all the way down to the strength of victory tiebreaker. So they need a bunch of other a ton of other games to go a certain way, and that's even if Seattle beat them in LA week 18, which I don't see happening
I don't
anyways.
see happening either.
So basically, the Rams have won the NFC West, and that's a dark horse team, I think. Um,
Yeah, we talked about it last episode. Like, yeah, the Rams have been playing well,
yeah, and that's just if you're
and they're
Carolina,
healthy,
I'm sorry, if you're Arizona, that's such a crappy way to get eliminated.
right? Because yeah, they're done. Like 7-8,
They're
they're
out
done.
mathematically.
Yeah, they're done. And then I think the easily the game of the day. How about the Commanders
Yeah, I mean Washington, that's a huge win for them.
overcoming 5 turnovers
Now they've
to
got like a
beat
95%
the?
chance to get in. They basically just have to beat Atlanta next week, and they're in for sure.
I mean, it's at home, and Atlanta, like they have, like yeah, they beat the Giants, but that doesn't prove
Yeah,
anything.
and it's the first Sunday night game in Landover in a few years. It's their
Yeah, so
chance to make the playoffs for the first time since 2020. Which was when they went 7-9 to win the division in a season with no fans. So does that
yep,
even really count in the mind of Washington fans? I don't know. And for Dan Quinn, to clinch a playoff berth against the team that fired him a few
his
years
old
ago,
team would be like sweet justice,
it would be like, he's gonna be extra fired up for that.
right?
Jaden Daniels, man, he's just so good. I don't. This today should have clinched the offensive rookie of the year for him.
No question.
I mean, he is just a special talent, and he is turning that franchise around.
Yep. So happy for the Commanders that like finally they have things going on for them. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, because we know here in San Diego what it's like when you have to deal with owners with terrible ownership, and they're finally. This is basically the first season for them because Harris didn't get control of the team last year until like late July, so
Right.
it was too late for him to do anything about the 23 roster when he finally got officially approved. So this is basically the first season with new management for Washington. 23 was just kind of a transitional year, so I'm so happy for them. I mean, just
Hmm.
today I was going at the place I usually watch football every Sunday. There's a guy sitting near me who was a Washington fan who who growing up went to RFK with his dad in the Joe Gibbs era. So yeah, like good for them. They deserve it, man. They've had to deal with a
Hmm.
lot of crap from Dan Snyder's reign of error.
Yep.
So they're, I mean, the fact that they're doing this in year one with you know Jaden Daniels and the Adam Peters at GM, Dan Quinn at head coach regime, like they're so far ahead of schedule, like it's crazy. Like that team's gonna be dangerous.
So yeah, easily game of the week. So congrats on the
Just gonna look
Commanders
at
that they're this close.
some other games that mattered. I will say this, like the fact that the Lions were able to put up 34 in the cold outdoors gives me a little bit of hope that maybe that if they do enough to get the one seed that they can, outscore teams in two games at Ford Field to get to the Super Bowl. But they have to win the next two games, to get the one seed. Otherwise, I don't think it has much of a chance. But if they win the next two and get the one seed, then maybe they can outscore teams for two games at Ford Field.
Well, the thing that helps them, like yeah, they have the Niners next week. The Vikings have the Packers.
Well, I mean, the Vikings already beat
It's
them at
at
Lambeau
home.
though, so I
It's
can't.
it's it's in Minnesota, but still.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, if they beat them at Lambeau early in the year, I don't
Yeah,
really see how the Vikings would lose
and
to them.
it's a shorter week for the Packers because they played them all. Well, today for most people listening.
Yeah, they're going to be going. to Minneapolis on a short week. Yeah, I mean,
We'll see though, but
that's a heck
uh,
of a game. Why is that at 10 a.m.?
I have no idea.
It's a heck. It's a rivalry too. Like that shouldn't
Why
be.
isn't this like a prime time afternoon game?
Yeah, I mean, at minimum, it should be a
I guess they could. I guess they still want Cowboys Eagles. That's the prime time for Fox, which makes zero sense.
I mean, the Cowboys are mathematically eliminated, and the Eagles basically have the NFC East wrapped up. So that's just dumb, but whatever.
Yeah. So wanted to point that out. What other games of significance?
I just
Niners.
want,
The Niners are done. Right? They were mathematically eliminated, and they
yeah,
lost.
I just want to point out that so we talked on Thursday about how both the Chargers and Broncos were kind of fraudulent, and like they played each other Thursday. We said neither team on the field will be in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, oh, sorry, they'll both be in, but neither team will win a game in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I think other results today reinforce that because
Oh
the,
boy.
the Chargers lost got just destroyed in the second half by Tampa Bay at SoFi last week, and then
And
the
the Bucks
Buccaneers
turned around this week and lost at Dallas.
lost to the Cooper Rush led Cowboys on Sunday Night Football tonight. That's bad.
Yep.
And
And this is
then
the game the Bucks needed to win to keep control of the NFC
and
South.
again, like Denver got lucky that the Colts kind of beat themselves with Taylor dropping the ball on the 1 yard line, that horribly botched trick play.
Yep.
And Indianapolis today let Tennessee, one of the worst teams in the league, almost come back in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Like Indy was like let Tennessee back into that game, and Tennessee's one of the worst teams in the league. Tennessee's completely awful.
Yep. So it's not good for them, and the Raiders blew their tank.
Yeah, they went from like the first pick to like the seventh by
Or
winning
the
that game.
sixth. But still, that's you really wanted to win this game to drop 5 spots.
No, that's yeah. I mean, the Giants are gonna get the first pick, and Lord, they need it. Seeing how bad their roster is, like, do they have any good players besides Malik Neighbors?
I mean, they just got Brian Burns this offseason, but what has he done?
Yeah, I mean, I guess they have Dexter Lawrence, who's been hurt too, but I guess I should say on offense, like Malik Neighbors is their only good player,
Hmm.
pretty much. I mean, Tyrone Tracy's okay, I guess, but
But like you can make the argument their quarterback room for this year is one of the worst we've ever seen.
I mean, Daniel Jones, what is it down to now? Like Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito's been hurt. Like it's
And
Drew
Tim
Lock,
Boyle,
Drew Lock and Tim Boyle. Like,
yeah,
jeez. Yeah, that's bad.
right.
That's horrible.
So yeah, so like we have 2 weeks left until the regular season ends.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how this plays out. It's a big we got that's a big game on Christmas between the Chiefs and Steelers because like if the Steelers don't win that, Baltimore could steal the North from them.
Because they're technically tied right now
Yes.
with win loss. I know the Steelers right now have the tiebreaker on them, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of football to be. Those a lot of things can happen in those 2 weeks of football.
Like the Steelers still control their fate if they want to win that division or not.
Yeah,
So the Steelers have obviously KC next week, and they have the Bengals at home. So the Steelers have 2 home games. The Ravens play at Houston. Like that's not going to be easy, but you would think the Ravens win the way they're playing,
yeah, and the way Houston's playing,
right? And then the Ravens get the Browns
yes,
at home. So like this week, I think decides it.
yeah, it does.
So like if you're the Steelers, you want to win this week.
And of course, like if Kansas City wins, then they're clinch the one stay with a week to spare, which means they rest the starters against Denver, which means that Denver probably wins and gets in no problem. But then if Kansas City still has something to play for, then there's a good chance they would beat Denver week 18, and then Could that lead Cincinnati sliding in the back door? Maybe, assuming they beat Denver next week, or if they beat Denver next week. Um, but then again, Cincinnati will be playing Pittsburgh, who might be playing for the division Kansas City, if Pittsburgh beats, if they beat Kansas City on Christmas Day. So it's just
Yep.
so much is riding on those two games on Christmas, really,
Mm-hmm.
for as far as the AFC North and even the seventh seed.
Yep. Oh,
I think that's all. Did we miss anything? I think we covered everything.
I think we covered everything as well. But yeah, we're heading down the stretch for the NFL season until we get ready for the playoffs, and still a lot of bowl games in college football, and we have again the quarterfinals, which happen starts New Year's Eve with the Penn State Boise game, and then the three on New Year's Day.
Yeah, for sure. So thanks for listening, guys. And unless something really unexpected happens with in terms of the Padres making a move that I can't wait to be talked about, this will be the last podcast before the holidays. So happy holidays, everybody, and we'll talk after the holidays.
Yeah, Merry
Probably
Christmas,
next
everyone.
Sunday after because that'll be after all the consequential NFL games have been played and the
Hopefully, we'll be
Aztecs.
talking about another Aztec win.
Yeah. Um, because I'm looking at the NFL schedule for next week right now. The Monday game is Detroit and the Niners, and that should be a win for Detroit. And the
Yeah,
only thing it might impact is the NFC North in terms of seeding, but that might come down to the head-to-head between the Lions and Minnesota, anyways, Week 18. So most important things will be decided on Sunday next week's for the
yeah.
NFL or Wednesday, Christmas Day. So that's all I got for now. Thanks for listening, fellas. Until the next time, happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Merry Christmas. I wasn't bad.
No.